What is up, Raidernation? It's your boy Small Raider, and welcome back to another pre-game preview between our Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals for this week 3 and final preseason game. This is where everything goes down. Now, I know we might not see a lot of the starters, but all the players that's fighting for a roster spot for this Las Vegas Raiders team is definitely going to want to show up in this last game. And I know that the Raiders haven't won a game just yet, but that doesn't mean that the Raiders are not going to succeed this season. I mean, heck, we've seen the Raiders go undefeated during preseason just to fall short when the season does come around. The fact that the Raiders are 0-1-1 right now, I'm okay, as long as we get to see some good things out of this game. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I really can't wait for preseason to be over with, just so we could get on to the real thing, because we know that the Raiders this year, man, we gonna look a little bit different, and I feel like the only way to go after last season is up. That being said, though, if this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love Raiders content just like this, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon button to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. That being said, though, you guys already know we got to start the video off with some Nation news. Now, shout out to the NFL for dropping their top 100 list, and for the Raiders, we actually have two guys that made the list, at least in the top 25. First guy being former rookie and all-star, all-pro tight end, Brock Bowers. And just his first season, Brock Bowers ranked 24th out of 100, which is a huge sign for him. Last year, having one of the best rookie seasons that a tight end can ever have, playing in all 17 games, recording 112 receptions for 1,194 receiving yards with 10.7 yards per reception and 5 touchdowns. They go on to say that it was a historic rookie season for Bowers in Las Vegas. Whoever was under center for the Raiders, Bowers was the consistent threat in Vegas's offense. Bowers set a new rookie record for receptions and broke Hall of Fame Mike Ditka's 63-year-old tight end record for receiving yards set in 1963. Despite not winning AP Offensive Rookie of the Year, Bowers made the Pro Bowl, earning first-team All-Pro honors, and now makes an appearance on the top 100. And I do believe that Brock Bowers, as crazy as it is, I think that his best football is still ahead of him. And with an actual quarterback in Geno Smith, I think that Brock Bowers is definitely going to come close to what he did last season. I don't know if he's going to break the same records, but he's definitely going to be a force on the offensive side of the ball and be a huge weapon, a huge asset for this team moving forward. And I speak as not only a Raider fan, but as an NFL fan as well when I say that Brock Bowers is definitely already the best tight end in football. Don't at me. Now, like I said earlier, Brock Bowers wasn't the only one to make the top 25, heck, the top 100 for the NFL list. We also got to see the Condor Maxx Crosby come in at number 22. Now, this is a drop off from last year, but I think most of this is in due part because of his injury and missing most of the season. Still, I don't think it's that bad. Last year, Maxx Crosby played in only 12 games, recording 45 tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, and 20 quarterback hits. They go on to say that despite dealing with a season-ending ankle injury, Crosby lands on the top 100 ranking for the 4th straight countdown. Crosby, well respected amongst his peers, saw double teams quite often when he was on the field for the Silver and Black. Even though he battled through injury this past season, the Raiders gave their 4-time Pro Bowler a 3-year, $106.5 million extension in March to keep him in Las Vegas for years to come. Now, we already know what we have in Maxx Crosby, and definitely is the identity, the leader of this team. And just seeing his work ethic be awarded during the offseason with this new regime getting another extension just goes to show that he's going to be a guy that's going to be rocking the Silver and Black, hopefully for the rest of his career. And going into a season fully healthy with a new defensive mindset, I can only imagine how much Crosby's going to be going off this year. And I hope that he breaks even more records. And since we're on the subject of Maxx Crosby, I want to give a huge happy birthday shout out to the big O's. It's always a blessing to see the O's out there and even seeing him here and there. But, you know, I'm just happy to have this guy on our team, and I just hope that the rest of this defense, as well as the team, can keep that same energy that Max brings every single day and go out there and compete every single game, and we could hopefully come away with a lot more W's to possibly make it into the playoffs. That being said, though, Pete Carroll recently announced that we will be seeing our starters in this last preseason game. Who knows how long we're going to be seeing them, The last game, we only got to see our starters for 2 drives. The game before that, we only got to see him for 1 drive. So if anything, we most likely will see him for at least 1 drive. And I would just like to see 1 strong drive out of this starting unit. Outside of that, we don't need to see them anymore, because this is going to be a game that a lot of players are going to be fighting to get on the final 53 or 55, whatever the number is right now. That being said, though, the top storylines that I have going into this game, first is roster cuts. Now, we know that this is going to be the final preseason game before mandatory roster cuts, making it a critical evaluation opportunity for players on both sides looking to solidify their spots on the 53-man roster or potentially landing on the practice squad. Now, in saying that, I know this might not be the most flashiest game out there, but we're definitely going to look at some of those guys that are deep down in a depth chart to see if they could stand out and make one final push for the final 53. And I do feel like that's the main thing to come out of this game, is looking for those players and seeing who could possibly find a spot on the roster. Moving on from that, I'm going to be looking at the offensive line. How well will the offensive line hold up? Now, I will say that the starting unit looked pretty solid when they were in there, but they struggled a little bit on later against the 49ers. We gave up 14 pressures and 4 sacks, but that could be in due part because of Cam Miller and AOC, because, you know, AOC just likes to hold on to the ball so damn long. But offensive line, of course, is still going to be a position group that we really need to solidify going into the season. Now, I'm not really worried about them, especially that first team unit, but the depth that we have outside of them, if anything was to happen to the starting unit, that's where the questions start to creep in. Now, moving on to the opposite side of the ball, of course, looking at the defense, especially that defensive line, how well will they look? Now, last week against the run, they did a better job early on in the game, but we gave up some chunk plays a little bit later. I will say it was a huge upgrade since week 1, especially because the tackling was all over the place. But this game against the Arizona Cardinals, I want to see how well that run D is, and I definitely want to see how well the pass defense is going to be, because that secondary is definitely going to be the biggest question marks going into the season, especially the depth after the starting unit. Another personal storyline that I want to see going into this game is that Geno Smith to Dante Thornton connection. If we do get to see our starters for at least 1 drive, can we see Geno Smith finally connect with Dante Thornton on a deep pass or even touchdown? We've seen a lot of it in practices, but it's one thing to do in practice and it's another thing to actually do it when game time does come around. I know that Geno has missed Dante on a couple of plays throughout preseason, but I just hope that they could make a huge connection and just get us Raider fans a little bit hyped up. Now, the last, and I would say the most important storyline going into this game, is definitely seeing the players come out of this game healthy. It's the last preseason game, and whether you are a star player that will have a spot on the depth chart or not, you definitely want to come out of this game healthy. Don't want anything to happen, because you could still have an opportunity on this team or another team if anything was to happen, or if you were cut from the team. That being said, Raider Nation, what other storylines do you guys have going into this game? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, the last segment, I'm going to be giving you some players to watch in this game. Of course, first things first, I'm going to name the 2 quarterbacks that are fighting for that QB2 spot, because I feel like that's still going to be a big question mark. And I know that the backup quarterback play didn't really do well last week. Of course, Aiden O'Connell not having his best game, going 15 for 23, 138 yards, interception, and getting sacked twice. Cam Miller, who stood out in the first game, had an abysmal 2 for 6 for 25 yards and interception, and was sacked as well. Had a costly interception at the end of the game, which lost us the preseason Super Bowl, but it's all good. I know that there's been a lot of other names floating around on the Raiders, possibly bringing in somebody else or even trading away Aiden O'Connell. But one thing's for sure, after Geno Smith, I still feel like that QB2 spot is still wide open, and I do want to see a lot more out of Cam Miller in this game. Hopefully they could give him a lot more time than they have been so far. Now, somebody else that I feel like is kind of clawing or kind of etching to get on the final 53 is wide receiver Cedric Jackson, of course, nephew of former Raider Bo Jackson. He has been showing out so far in preseason, looking like Cam Miller's #1 weapon. This past week, he caught 3 balls for 28 yards. The week before that, against the Seahawks, he had a big 4 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. So I want to see how well he does in this game. Can he find a way onto the final 53? Can he have a big game this week? We'll see, because out of all the wide receivers outside of the top guys that we know is going to make the roster, Cedric Jackson could possibly be a sneaky play here. Now, moving on to the defensive side of the ball, Tyree Wilson has been showing now and has been looking good so far, being a solid player. Even though he's not putting up the big stats, you can tell that he's getting off the line of scrimmage much quicker, and he's moving opposing offensive linemen and just causing pressure and just helping out Maxx Crosby and the rest of this defensive line, especially if we want to see him go and transition to that defensive tackle position, maybe even start. I want to see a lot more in this game, and we'll see how much he plays. I don't know, but whenever he's in there, I'm going to be keeping my eye on him. Another defensive lineman to keep an eye on is definitely Thomas Booker IV. Now, I do believe that he has a roster spot already, especially because we traded Ja'Cory Bennett for him, but can he find himself in a starter role on the defensive line? We know that Adam Butler is going to be starting at defensive tackle, but from what we've seen from Thomas Booker so far in the limited time that he's been on the team, he seems like a guy that could get a lot of playing time once the season does come around, maybe even a starting role. Another player on the defensive line that I'm going to keep my eye on is rookie defensive tackle JJ Pegues. And yes, he's been another guy that's showed a lot of promise as well here and there throughout the preseason. But I hope and I pray that we get to see at least an offensive snap by him, a fullback snap. I think that would be pretty cool, and especially in the last game of the preseason. Why not? Right? Why not? JJ Pegues, I'm really excited to see him. But what other players are you guys looking forward to watching in this game? Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, Raider Nation, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have, hit that like button. It does a lot for this channel. I will be trying to watch the game. I don't know if I'm gonna go live yet or not, but definitely look out for the recap after the game. Until then, this is your boy Simone Raider and your boys. Yeah.